You know that feeling, right? You're trying to get more done,
Yeah.
but you also need to make sure it's actually, well, good.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with complex systems, it feels like we're all trying to be these super efficient quality detectives.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the big question, I guess, is can technology really help us here? Can it make us better, faster quality detectives?
That's exactly what we're digging into today. We're
Yeah.
looking at test tools and automation, specifically in software and systems testing.
Right.
And we're using the Certified Tester Foundation Level V4.0.1 guide. It's a pretty solid source for this.
Perfect. So our mission today is really to get a handle on how these different tools can, help us out, be our allies,
Mm.
and also to get a realistic look at test automation, the good stuff, the potential benefits, but also the possible bumps in the road.
Yeah, the risks too. It's important.
And this document seems great because it lays it all out, from managing tests right through to actually running them. So let's get into it. Section 6.1 starts with tool support. What are the main kinds of tools we're talking about?
Okay, so the document groups them quite nicely. First up, you've got test management tools.
Right.
And the real key here is how they centralize everything, sort of streamline the whole testing process.
Like a command center.
Exactly. Think of it like that. Managing requirements, tests, defects, different software versions. It's all in one place.
Okay, yeah, I can see how that would cut down on chaos instead of digging through emails or spreadsheets.
Precisely. It really helps teams just keep things organized, which saves a ton of time.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Because the next type.
Next are static testing tools. Now, these are interesting. They're like an early warning system.
Oh, how so?
Well, they help you review documents and code before you even run the software. They do static analysis.
Static analysis. So checking the code without running it.
Exactly. Looking for things like coding errors, potential security holes, that kind of thing.
Wow.
Finding those problems early, that saves major time and money later on.
It's like a proofreader then, but for code and docs. Catching slip-ups early. I get it. Okay, then we have test design and implementation tools. What's their role?
These are all about making the creation of tests, well, more efficient and more systematic.
How?
They can help generate test cases, maybe based on requirements, or create realistic test data, define the steps for running tests.
Ah, okay. So if you have a really complex system, lots of inputs.
Right. These tools can help you design a really comprehensive set of tests much faster than you could ever do just, manually.
That sounds like a serious productivity boost,
Yeah.
especially in that prep phase.
Yeah.
Which I guess leads us nicely to test execution and test coverage tools. This is where automation really kicks in, right?
Absolutely. This is where you automate running the tests. But crucially, they also measure test coverage.
Coverage. Meaning,
Meaning you can see exactly which bits of the software, which parts of the system have actually been tested.
oh, wow.
Yeah, it gives you a much clearer picture of, how thorough your testing is, where the blind spots might be.
That's incredibly valuable, not just running tests, but knowing how much you've actually covered. What else does the document highlight?
Well, there are also non-functional testing tools. Now, this is important. Your app might work technically.
But maybe it's slow or insecure.
Exactly. Performance, security, usability, these things matter hugely. Think about a website. It lets you buy something, okay, but if every page takes 10 seconds to load.
Yeah, forget it. Functional, but useless in practice.
Right. So non-functional testing tools let us rigorously test these how well aspects, things that are often, frankly, impossible or just wildly inaccurate to test manually.
Like trying to simulate thousands of users hitting a website all at once. Yeah, you definitely need a tool for that. Okay, what about DevOps tools? How do they fit in?
DevOps tools are pretty central to how software gets delivered these days. They support the whole pipeline.
Coding, deployment, everything.
Yeah, automating builds, managing workflows, enabling CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous delivery.
And for testing.
The key thing is that testing becomes part of that continuous flow. It happens more often, it's automated, so you get much faster feedback on code changes.
Ah, so instead of testing being this big phase at the end.
It's woven in throughout. Small changes get built and tested frequently, catching issues almost right away.
Okay, got it. The document also mentions collaboration tools. That seems pretty straightforward.
It is, pretty much. Tools that help the team communicate, share information with developers, managers, whoever needs to know. Good collaboration is key to sorting out issues fast.
Makes sense. And then tools supporting scalability and deployment.
Yeah.
VMs and containers. How do they help testing?
They let you easily set up and manage different test environments. Ones that look a lot like the real world where the software will actually run.
So you can test on different operating systems, different setups.
Exactly. Different configurations, different load conditions. It gives you more confidence that it'll work properly when it's deployed for real.
So testing closer to reality, basically.
Yeah.
Covering all the bases. And, it's interesting the document even mentions spreadsheets.
Right. It broadens the definition. If you're using a spreadsheet to help plan or track tests, well then in that context, it is a test tool.
Anything that helps, essentially.
Pretty much. Anything assisting in planning, design, execution, recording, analysis, it can count. Okay, so that gives us a good map of the types of tools. Shall we pivot to the benefits of automation now? Section 6.2 goes into this.
Yeah, let's do it. This is where it gets really compelling, I think. The first big advantage mentioned is time saved, right? Automating those repetitive tasks.
Huge. Think about regression tests running the same checks over and over, or entering the same data again and again, comparing results, checking standards.
Yeah. Tedious stuff.
Automation takes that off people's plates. It frees up testers to do more interesting and strategic work.
That's a massive win. Letting skilled people focus on the tricky stuff where you really need a human brain.
Absolutely. Where intuition and critical thinking really count.
And automation also helps prevent simple human errors. It brings consistency, repeatability.
Exactly. The document points this out. Tests being consistently derived from requirements, data being created systematically, tests running in the same order, same frequency, every single time.
Humans just aren't built for that level of perfect repetition, are we? Especially on boring tasks.
No, we're not. We make mistakes. Automation brings that accuracy that's just, hard to match manually.
Okay, another benefit listed is getting a more objective assessment, especially for things like test coverage, right? And gathering complex data.
Yeah, this is where you get deeper insights. Tools can track exactly which lines of code were hit, which features were tested.
Stuff that would be really hard for a person to track accurately.
Incredibly time-consuming, if not impossible sometimes. And they can generate detailed reports automatically.
Which ties into the next point. Easier access to information for managers for reporting, stats, graphs, progress updates.
That visibility is crucial. Managers can see how testing is going in near real time, spot bottlenecks, communicate clearly, makes decision-making much more informed.
And maybe the biggest one in today's world, reduced test execution times. Faster tests mean finding defects earlier.
Finding them earlier, getting faster feedback to developers, and ultimately getting the product out the door quicker. Faster time to market.
Speed is definitely king sometimes. Automation can seriously accelerate that whole testing cycle.
It really can. Catching bugs faster, fixing them faster, releasing faster, it all links up.
And the last benefit mentioned here is interesting. It says automation gives more time for testers to design new, deeper tests. It's about leveraging the human skills again.
Absolutely. It's not about replacing testers. It's about augmenting them. Offload the repetitive stuff and let testers use their brains for more complex, exploratory work, designing really clever tests that find the nasty bugs.
So the upside looks pretty clear. But like you said, it's not all smooth sailing. The document warns about just buying a tool and expecting magic.
That's right. There are definitely risks to be aware of. You need realistic expectations.
And the first risk mentioned is exactly that. Unrealistic expectations. Thinking a tool can do more than it can, or that it'll be super easy to use right away.
Yeah, it's critical to remember tools are enablers. They don't replace good testing strategy or skilled people. Thinking a tool is a silver bullet. That's usually heading for disappointment.
Another big one, inaccurate estimations. Underestimating the time, the cost, the sheer effort needed.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just buying a tool. It's introducing it, maintaining the scripts, maybe changing your processes.
It's an investment.
It's a real investment, requires planning, skills, ongoing work. If you lowball that, your automation project can easily run over budget or just fizzle out.
The document also warns about using a tool when manual testing is actually better.
Right. Automation isn't always the answer. Think about exploratory testing or usability testing, or maybe testing brand new features where things are still changing rapidly.
Yeah, you need that human flexibility and insight sometimes.
Exactly. Manual testing still has a huge role to play.
Then there's the risk of over-reliance on the tools. Maybe forgetting about critical thinking.
Letting the tools do the work, but not having enough human oversight. Automation can run checks, sure, but it can't replicate the judgment of a skilled tester spotting something weird or interpreting something ambiguous.
Good point. What about dependency on the tool vendor? That's mentioned too. What if they go bust or stop supporting the tool?
That's a real risk. It highlights why you need to check out the vendor's stability and reputation before you commit. You want a partner for the long haul, ideally.
Yeah, you don't want to be left high and dry. And similar risks with open source software, maybe being abandoned or not updated.
It can happen. Open source can be great, very cost-effective sometimes, but you need to weigh that against potential instability or relying on community support that might, not always be there when you need it urgently.
Technical issues too, like the tool just not being compatible with your development platform.
Yeah, basic but crucial. Got to make sure the tool actually fits with your tech stack, otherwise it's just creating problems, not solving them.
And finally, a really important one, choosing a tool that doesn't meet regulations or safety standards.
Absolutely critical, especially if you're in an industry like finance or healthcare. Your tools must comply with the rules. No cutting corners there.
So lots of potential benefits, but definitely some serious risks to navigate.
For sure. And it leads back to that crucial point the document makes. Just buying a tool isn't enough.
Right. It stresses the effort needed, the effort for introduction, for maintenance, for training people. You don't get the benefits without putting in the work.
Exactly. It's not a magic wand. Successful automation needs a proper strategy, dedicated effort, and people with the right skills to make it work and keep it working.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. It feels like the main takeaway is that test tools, all the different kinds we talked about, can genuinely provide significant support across the board in testing.
Definitely. From management to execution and analysis.
And automation specifically offers really tempting benefits, saving time, boosting consistency, getting faster feedback. That's all really valuable stuff.
It can be incredibly powerful, yes. A real enabler for efficiency and quality.
But, and it's a big but, you have to go in with your eyes open, understand the risks, be realistic about the effort involved.
Absolutely. It requires that ongoing commitment.
Which really brings it back to you listening, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Thinking about your own situation, your own work. Where could these kinds of tools potentially make a difference?
And just as importantly, what are the risks you'd need to really think through and plan for before jumping in?
Because ultimately, using these tools strategically, adopting automation thoughtfully, it's not just about speed, is it?
No, not just speed.
It's about potentially making your testing deeper, broader, and hopefully improving the overall quality of whatever it is you're building.
But only with that careful thought, that planning, and that commitment to the ongoing effort required.